Down at 850 millibars, we want to be looking for a feature called the low-level jet, or LLJ for short. The low-level jet is basically a belt of stronger winds in the lowest levels of the atmosphere that does a couple of important things for severe weather. Number one, it can help really pump moisture into our area of interest. Usually the low-level jet has a more southerly component to it. And just a side note, winds are described by the direction which they're coming from. So a wind blowing from south to north is described as a southerly wind. As we talked about earlier, that moisture source for most of our severe weather events in the U.S. comes from the Gulf, or at least the southern states in the U.S. So out of the south, when the winds are out of the south in the low-level jet, that moisture gets really efficiently pumped northward into our area of interest to help moisten that low-level environment, provide storms a lot of fuel to work with, and increase instability overall. Number two, it can actually increase low-level wind shear to a level that's favorable for tornadic activity. So when your low-level wind fields are stronger, that tends to increase low-level shear. And as we talked about earlier, thunderstorms are able to produce tornadoes when the low-level shear is on the strong side. Now, there are some special examples where you don't really need a low-level jet to produce tornadic activity, but in the majority of cases, you want to see stronger low-level shear for tornadic activity, and a stronger low-level jet helps in that regard.
Chasing Dixie Alley is dangerous. We've got you covered. Free ebook link in description.
So on the 850 millibar map, we want to be looking for areas where winds are enhanced, generally above about 30 knots or so. And in this example, we can see that is in place across the central and southern plains from Kansas down into West Texas. You can see those wind barbs are at about 30 knots, 30, 35, 40 knots or so, even 150 knot wind barb there across southwest Kansas. So in this case, we have a nice, fairly expansive low-level jet here, and usually the low-level jet is associated with a low-level cyclone. We're going to talk here in just a second how to identify surface cyclones and low-level cyclones on weather maps. And this example actually does have a low-level cyclone here centered right there in northeast Colorado. Usually our low-level jet is associated with a low-level cyclone, and that is the case here. So you're just simply looking for areas where your low-level winds are fairly strong, usually with a southerly component, and they're going to be often paired with a low-level cyclone.
Remember to check out those links in the description below, and then watch another video.